The Buddha of Bamyan, or Bamyan, were two 6th century monumental statues carved into the side of a cliff in the Bamyan Valley of central Afghanistan, 130 kilometers, 81 mi, northwest of Kabul at an elevation of 2,500 meters, 8,200 feet. Carbon dating of the structural components of the Buddha has determined that the smaller 38 meters, 125 feet, Eastern Buddha was built around 570 CE, and the larger 55 meters, 180 feet, Western Buddha was built around 618 CE, which would date both to the time when the Hephthalites ruled the region. It was a holy site for Buddhists on the ancient Silk Road. On orders from Taliban founder Mullah Omar, the statues were destroyed in March 2001 after the Taliban government declared that they were idols. International and local opinion strongly condemned the destruction of the Buddha. The statues represented a later evolution of the classic blended style of Gandhara art. The larger statue was named Salsal, the light shines through the universe, and was referred as a male. The smaller statue is called Shah Mama, Queen Mother, identified as a female figure. Technically, both were reliefs. At the rear, they each merged into the cliff wall. The main bodies were hewn directly from the sandstone cliffs, but details were modeled in mud mixed with straw, coated with stucco. This coating, the majority of which wore away long ago, was painted to enhance the expressions of the faces, hands, and folds of the robes. The larger one was painted carmine red, and the smaller one was painted multiple colors. The lower parts of the statue's arms were constructed from the same mud-straw mix, supported on wooden armatures. It is believed that the upper parts of their faces consisted of huge wooden masks. Rows of holes held wooden pegs that stabilized the outer stucco. The Buddha was surrounded by numerous caves and surfaces decorated with paintings. It is thought that these mostly dated from the 6th to 8th centuries CE, ending with the Muslim conquests of Afghanistan. The smaller works of art are considered as an artistic synthesis of Buddhist art and Gupta art from India, with influences from the Sasanian Empire and the Byzantine Empire, as well as the Tokhra Yabgus. It was the site of several Buddhist monasteries and a thriving center for religion, philosophy, and art. Monks at the monasteries lived as hermits in small caves carved into the side of the Bamyan cliffs. Most of these monks embellished their caves with religious statuary and elaborate, brightly colored frescoes, sharing the culture of Gandhara. The great Buddha of Bamyan were built circa 600 CE under the Hephthalites, who at the time ruled as principalities in the areas of Tokhristan and northern Afghanistan. Bamyan had been a Buddhist religious site from the 2nd century CE under the Kushans, and remained so up to the time of the Muslim conquest of the Abbasid Caliphate under Al-Mahdi in 770 CE. It became again Buddhist from 870 CE until the final Islamic conquest of 977 CE under the Turkic Ghaznavid dynasty. Murals in the adjoining caves have been carbon dated from 438 to 980 CE, suggesting that Buddhist artistic activity continued down to the final occupation by the Muslims. The two most prominent statues were the giant standing sculptures of the Buddha Varukana and Shakyamuni, Gautama Buddha, identified by the different mudras performed. The Buddha, popularly called Salsal, measured 55 meters tall, and Shamama 38 meters. The niches in which the figures stood are 58 and 38 meters respectively from bottom to top. Before being blown up in 2001, they were the largest examples of standing Buddha carvings in the world. The Buddha are surrounded by numerous caves and surfaces decorated with paintings. It is thought that the period of florescence was from the 6th to 8th century CE, until the onset of Islamic invasions. These works of art are considered as an artistic synthesis of Buddhist art and Gupta art from India, with influences from the Sasanian Empire and the Byzantine Empire, as well as the country of Tokhristan. The later paintings are attributable to the Turk period, 7th-9th century CE. Among the most famous paintings of the Buddha of Bamyan, the ceiling of the smaller Eastern Buddha represents a solar deity on a chariot pulled by horses, as well as ceremonial scenes with royal figures and devotees. The god is wearing a kaftan in the style of tokra, boots, and is holding a lance. His representation is derived from the iconography of the Iranian god Mithra, as revered in Sogdia. He is riding a two-wheeled golden chariot, pulled by four horses. Two winged attendants are standing to the side of the chariot, wearing a Corinthian helmet with a feather, and holding a shield. In the top portion are winged gods, flying with a scarf held in both hands. This composition is unique and has no equivalent in Gandhara or India. The central image of the sun god on his golden chariot is framed by two lateral rows of individuals, kings and dignitaries mingling with Buddha and Bodhisattva. One of the personages, standing behind a monk in profile, is likely the king of Bamyan. The Bamya Buddha were built at the time of the Hephthalites. Several of the figures have the characteristic appearance of the Hephthalites of Tokristan, with belted jackets with the unique lapel of their tunic being folded on the right side, the cropped hair, the hair accessories, their distinctive physiognomy and their round beardless faces. These figures must represent the donors and potentates who supported the building of the monumental giant Buddha. The individuals in this painting are very similar to the individuals depicted in Balalit Tepe, and they may be related to the Hephthalites. They participate to the artistic tradition of the Hephthalite ruling classes of Turkestan. These murals disappeared with the destructions of 2001. A few murals also remained around the taller 55-meter Western Buddha on the ceiling and on the sides. Many are more conventionally Buddhist in character. Later mural paintings of Bamyan, dated to the 7th-8th centuries CE, display a variety of male devotees in double-lapel kaftans. The works of art show a sophistication and cosmopolitanism comparable to other works of art of the Silk Road, such as those of Kizil, are attributable to the sponsorship of the Western Turks. The nearby Kakrak caves also have some works of art. After the destruction of the Buddha, 50 more caves were revealed. In 12 of the caves, wall paintings were discovered. In December 2004, an international team of researchers stated that the wall paintings at Bamyan were painted between the 5th and the 9th centuries, rather than the 6th to 8th centuries, citing their analysis of radioactive isotopes contained in straw fibers found beneath the paintings. It is believed that the paintings were done by artists traveling on the Silk Road. In 1221, with the advent of Genghis Khan, a terrible disaster befell Bamyan. Nevertheless, the statues were spared. The Mughal founder Babur wrote in September 1528 that he ordered both be destroyed. Later, the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb tried to use heavy artillery to destroy the statues. The legs of the Buddha were broken because of Aurangzeb's action. Another attempt to destroy the Bamya statues was made by the 18th century Persian king Nader Afsar, directing cannon fire at them. The Afghan king Abdul Rahman Khan in the 19th century destroyed the upper part of the face of the larger figure during a military campaign against a Hazara rebellion in the area. During the Afghan civil war, the area around the Buddha was initially under the control of the Hezb-e Wahdat part of the Northern Alliance who were against the Taliban. However, Mazar-i-Sharif fell in August 1998, and the Bamyan Valley was entirely surrounded by Taliban. Abdul Wat, a local Taliban commander who had long before announced his intentions to obliterate the Buddha, drilled holes in the Buddha heads into which he planned to load explosives. He was prevented from proceeding by Mohammad Omar, the de facto leader of the Taliban. Other people blew off the head of the smaller Buddha using dynamite, aimed rockets at the larger Buddha's groin, and burnt tires at the latter's head. The statues were destroyed by dynamite over several weeks, starting on 2 March 2001. The destruction was carried out in stages. Initially, the statues were fired at for several days using anti-aircraft guns and artillery. This caused severe damage, but did not obliterate them. During the destruction, Taliban Information Minister Qudratullah Jamal said that the destruction work is not as easy as people would think. You can't knock down the statues by dynamite or shelling, as both of them have been carved in a cliff. They are firmly attached to the mountain. Later, the Taliban placed anti-tank mines at the bottom of the niches, so that when fragments of rock broke off from artillery fire, the statues would receive additional destruction from particles that set off the mines. In the end, the Taliban lowered men down the cliff face and placed explosives into holes in the Buddha. After one of the explosions failed to obliterate the face of one of the Buddha, a rocket was launched that left a hole in the remains of the stone head. The UNESCO Expert Working Group on Afghan Cultural Projects convened to discuss what to do about the two statues. These included leaving the larger western niche empty as a monument to the destruction of the Buddha, a feasibility study into the rebuilding of the eastern Buddha, and the construction of museums. Please like and subscribe our channel for more interesting videos.